Well, welcome everybody back to our next episode of The Property Lines, hosted by myself, Chad Stafford. I'm president of Occidental Management. We're a Midwest-based commercial real estate development firm and owner-operator. And today, we're thrilled to have as our guest Matt Hamilton, who is the general manager for the Wichita Wind Surge.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, our pleasure. One of the reasons why I wanted to get an opportunity to speak with Matt today is a lot of times communities, as they start, especially downtown areas, begin to revitalize and kind of reposition downtowns from not only a entertainment, but also a mixed use, livability, and driving more economic growth to communities. A lot of that is centered around sports entertainment and the entertainment that goes around having a ball game. And so Wichita was fortunate enough or maybe unfortunate enough, is right before COVID, we landed a team that moved here that was going to be the AAA affiliate of the Marlins, and subsequently then became the AA affiliate of the Twins.
Yeah.
But brand new stadium, phenomenal job. I think it's awesome. I was just here for Holy War on Friday. We had a big the Cape and Bishop Carroll game, and an amazing venue for football. I've
Absolutely.
been here for concerts. Tyler Hubbard was outstanding. My kids loved it. So, I mean, you guys are doing great things, but tell me a little bit about kind of the history of it and how things have been going.
Yeah, well, I mean, to touch on the reclassification thing. So for those of you that aren't like super in tune with minor league baseball, there's 120 teams across the country. And before COVID, there was actually 160 teams. And after COVID, there was a regionalization of teams, and it reclassified a few organizations. It also reduced the number of teams. So there was 40 teams that actually lost their classification. And coming from a AAA team, I actually think one of the best things that ever happened to this organization was becoming a AA affiliate. The primary reason being that this is the level at which prospects are sent to develop the longest. So while we have the Walker Jenkins and the Kalen Culpeppers that were with us for a majority of the season, there's going to be a St. Paul organization in AAA who's going to potentially get them for a week, 2 weeks, and then they're up to the big leagues. So we actually get a chance to see these young superstars for an elongated period of time, and fans get to develop a relationship. They get to say they saw them win. Whereas when I was with the AAA for the Yankees, we had Anthony Volpe for 14 games and he was gone. Same with Jason Dominguez. Austin Wells was with us for a short period of time. And so we actually get a chance to market these players and help establish a brand for these guys and really create a fun fan relationship with them. Whereas when they're in AAA, they know they're knocking on the door. They're focused on baseball and baseball alone, so they can just get to the next step. Whereas when they're here, it's still fun. It's still not that baseball's not always fun, but it's still, they get to be kids and they get to play the game. And it's just a completely different vibe from whenever you're in AAA baseball. And so I actually think being a AA affiliate is the biggest benefit that could have ever happened of that whole MLB realignment and regionalization. So for that, we feel very fortunate. And then when it comes to the events outside of baseball, the biggest thing, and this is something I said in my first press conference, the first thing I said whenever I gave comments for newspapers and TV, is every baseball stadium that is a minor league stadium, and it's probably rings true for major league stadiums as well, we're a community gathering place. This isn't, and that's not just me throwing that out into the wind to check a box for PR purposes. It's a true statement, because in reality, our job is to provide entertainment. The Minnesota Twins handle the baseball side of things. And so the more people that we can get into the walls of the ballpark, whether it be for a concert, a high school football game, a community walk, a flea market, an Asian night market festival, whatever it may be, that's new opportunities to develop new fans of Wind Surge baseball. But in reality, all we're trying to do is create fans who want to be entertained in some form or fashion. Minor league baseball, we're known for doing the quirky, weird, goofy stuff. And that's really where we actually are the most effective, because in truth, I'm not drafting players. I'm not signing players. I'm not giving bonuses. I'm not moving guys up to AAA. My job is to entertain people who are non-baseball fans so that we can develop that sense of community. So people will actually come out to the ballpark without even worrying about what the final result is or whether or not someone hits a home run or whatever it may be.
Right.
The goal is just for them to get here, have fun, and want to come back. And so that's the beautiful thing about everything that we do. And so when we have an opportunity to get people here for concerts that have never been to the stadium before, they get to see how beautiful the venue is, and then hopefully want to come back for a Wind Surge game. But when we do draw new people in, usually we're actually capturing their contact information so that we can market to them. There's a lot of people who, Harry Potter this year was 10,256 people or whatever that number was. And that was the second largest crowd in our team's history. And a lot of that was people who had never been here before. And it wasn't because they were coming for baseball. It's because they wanted to come see the Harry Potter elements folded into the entertainment piece of it all. And so everything we do is always about just getting new faces in the building. And we always feel like, and I'm very confident about this, that if we can get somebody in our building one time, that we can get them back again, just because I'm confident in what we do. And our goal is always affordable family entertainment. And we want it to be an environment where people are comfortable to bring their kids. They're comfortable to let their kids run around and have fun and not feel like they constantly have to be watching over them, that we have a phenomenal game day staff, security team, front office staff, everybody that just constantly walks around with a smile on their face, so that it's a welcoming environment that people can just, like I said, just be comfortable to bring their families. And I mean, I've got a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old. And when my wife comes, she doesn't watch the game. She stands out in the outfield and lets our kids run around on the hill and bounce around in bounce houses or go down slides.
When we came in Friday night for the Holy War, we get right as soon as I got through security, I had my 4 little ones gone. I didn't see him again until I had to send a text message and said, meet me back where I was.
Perfect.
And I didn't worry about it. You guys have great security here, and it's a great event and a great venue. And then like Sunday, then my oldest son, Jackson, he did the half marathon Prairie Fire.
Yeah.
And they finished in, and they got the video of them running into the stadium. So again, I mean, I think it's a perfect, what you said is spot on, is it's really a community gathering place, and trying to find utilization for as many things as you can to draw people in is huge. I think fortunately too, the location of where the stadium is, obviously it used to be Lawrence Dumont. But you do have all this retail, restaurant, entertainment, more housing. And obviously you've got development starting right here, right off of the right field wall. That will be, hotel and apartments as well. So that's all exciting stuff. Tell me, do you have to be involved in that, or do they give you regular updates? How do you kind of keep up with all that change?
Yeah, it's honestly been wonderful. So EPC is the development group that's been doing it, and they've kept us in the loop on everything from day one. They communicate in a phenomenal fashion. They've been great partners, that when there's been stuff that did affect the stadium, they just said, we'll take care of it. And if you get a bill, send it to us. Like, they want to make sure that they're good neighbors, and that through the development of all of this project, because they know the importance of us to the things that they're doing as much as it is important for vice versa. You know what I mean? So all it is just more people in a centrally located zone that will only benefit us from a foot traffic standpoint, from an exposure standpoint. Hopefully, when that is all done, that it'll just be continued to grow into a hub of entertainment. I mean, you talked about it earlier. There's usually a baseball stadium or a football stadium that's the central piece of a entertainment district that's built out. And I think that you've seen the fruits of that. Obviously Wrigley Field's, an easy one to point to, but even the new Ranger Stadium with Texas Live, if you ever go to Philly and go to Citizens Bank Park, they have Xfinity Live. There's all these places that have really done a phenomenal job of developing entertainment, with the venue being the central core piece of it all, because you're already going to drive individuals down there for the games. Then you just give even more people an opportunity to come down and want to take part in the vibrancy of the environment. And so the more restaurants, the more bars, the more shopping, the more retail that drives down here. The funny question I always get is, don't you think that'll hurt you guys? If they build more restaurants and people are going to eat before they go to your game, or if they drink beer before they come in the stadium or whatever it is, I always just say, absolutely not. It's going to be even better, because it means that they're coming downtown for games, and that they're going to come to the game. And sure, they may have, an appetizer or dinner, but the thing is when you come to the ballpark, you throw dietary caution to the wind. We're not here because we are going to be offering up, the most healthy options in the world. And we're not naive to that. But whenever I go to a baseball game, the first place I go is I'm going to grab a hot dog. It's 100. The first thing I look for at every stadium I go to.
I saw no options for kale salad when I was here on Friday, but No, that's a great point. The other thing I was going to ask you is, because I know Mike McKean from EPC really well.
Sure.
He's a good friend of mine and a great guy. I just am shocked he said send us the bill. I've been to dinner with Mike a few times, and not ever. He's got alligator arms when it comes. You just can't quite get the bill. No, I tease. He's great guy and a good partner, certainly to do development with, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, they've been so cool, and we try to be accommodating to them as well. You know, they want to bring by, you know, folks that they're trying to get partnered into the investment, and we give them tours and we walk them through the things that we're working on from our own perspective. One of the biggest things we were working on for so long that we couldn't really share was the banana ball piece, and now that's finally out there,
that's exciting.
It is extremely exciting. The amount of traction that we've gained from that. I mean, those are the types of things that hopefully garner more interest to be, you know, in a close proximity to the ballpark, because the amount of foot traffic and exposure that events like Banana Ball will provide, or concerts or whatever it may be, is only driving more value to our partners, A, but B, to the companies around us. And so, you know, anytime you're involved with a ballpark like this, or with a venue like this, you still have to, you know, have good neighbors, and you still have to have people who want you to be their neighbor. And so I think it only just brings more positivity to our neighbors along with ourselves.
Yeah. And great segue to the environment. Obviously, you've got some future development coming when George does something with the Baptist church site there, and in addition to what you've got going here. And then we own the building right next to the Baptist church that we converted into a retail center. And funny story, that used to be back when Stearman, Cessna, and Beach were all partners before they broke up and formed Boeing and Cessna and Beechcraft. And they were all partners in that building. And they used to fly the planes they built right over the top of where we're sitting today. They come out the back of the building and fly over the top. But so you got a great historical site here too, from just the city of Wichita perspective. But I also think that what you guys have been able to do in very short order is really build a lot of momentum. I mean, the bananas coming here is great. Now, I also think, just as a side note, we should have Bad News Bears night, and we get a coach that will drink beer in the club, in the dugout, and smoke cigarettes, and, you know, kind of reinvent the characters. I think that'd be great. I'd be happy to play the chubby catcher.
Fair enough. You know, my background in just my time in minor league baseball was pretty heavy on the special events side. And so whenever I first took the job here in Wichita, one of the biggest things I wanted to do was listen to our season ticket holders and find out what is it that you're not getting that you were potentially promised from the outset, or what are the things that you want to see that just haven't come to fruition. And some of the top things that I was told were, we want shows, we want concerts. We were promised that these things were going to happen when the stadium was built. To date, we haven't seen anything. And we want the NBC back downtown, and, you know, among other things. And so as soon as I heard all of that, I said, okay, I'll go to work on doing everything I possibly can to make each one of those things happen. So last year in 2024, the first thing was, everybody wants a concert. Let's pop a concert. So I called local superstar Logan Mize and said, hey, our fans are fiending for a concert. I can't think of a better person to be the one to, you know, pop the top on the can and come in and do this. And he was ecstatic to be that guy. And so that was a fun show to roll out. But what it also did for us is it gave us a blueprint to be able to show to other artists and other booking agents and tour managers to say, look, we've done it. We can show you the blueprint. We have the ticket manifest. Here's the results that we got. And that was pretty much kind of the starter of being able to go off to these artists and say, look, here's how we can set it up. We have a phenomenal AV company we partner with, and staging company that puts on a heck of a show. And you guys are going to come here. You're going to be treated first class. And that's only continued to roll through this year, where a lot of these artists are sending feedback up to their tour manager saying, first their tour managers are here, their booking agents and their agencies saying, look, there's a good spot in Wichita. There's room to continue to build tour stops. Like, in the future, let's start to look at that as a venue. And so we had to really prove ourselves before we could start booking these bigger artists. And that's
Right.
where those initial shows were so valuable, was we were able to formulate the blueprint and show people what we can do. And then Banana Ball, I mean, look, there's no secret that they have a rocket attached to their rear, and they're soaring, to heights that I don't think even Jesse Cole imagined whenever he started the Bananas. But look at what they've grown into and what Banana Ball has become, and the craze and the fandom around it. And naturally there's this old school minor league baseball mindset of, well, that's not baseball, I want nothing to do with it. Whereas I'm on the other side of it. I'm like, if they're bringing people in that are non-baseball fans and they can see the entertainment value of it, all that does is benefit us. And so immediately I started working on it. And thankfully our corporate group, Diamond Baseball Holdings, they own 45 teams at this point. And so we were able to leverage the number of properties that we have to establish more stops. And they were a huge support system in helping us get that done. The city, or I should say Visit Wichita, did a lot to support with economic impact reports and hotel availabilities and all the things that usually Banana Ball is looking for, because when they come into a town, they don't just want to come and play 2 or 3 games for the sake of, they want to see that it's going to leave a positive effect on the market they go to.
Right.
And we feel like, the work that we did to get them here was obviously worth it, because now we have 3 dates, and there's a lot of markets who only got 1 or 2 days. And the fact that we have 3 in a row, I think, speaks to the work that was done and the reports that were given and the support letters we received. And it's going to be such a fun event. And we just think, there's going to be a lot of people who, again, like what I was talking about earlier, have never been to our stadium, or for that matter, haven't really had a desire to go to a minor league baseball game, but they've seen the Bananas.
Well, that's going to be a regional draw. You'll have multi-state people coming from all over.
100%. And we feel like we can tap those people as WinSearch fans in the future.
Right. It's something that I always tell our elected politicians is the more stuff like this we can do, whether that's finding something to do from a convention center standpoint with Century 2, or adding more stuff right here along the river, that you're drawing in out-of-town tax dollars, right? Mm-hmm. And that should be, in my book, one of the main drivers of what we're trying to do as a city, is figure out how can we do more by bringing outside tax dollars in and creating a better environment for everybody. So I think that's great. Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
So what has been, you talked about kind of getting the groundswell of how do we get this to where it's an entertainment venue, where it's a community draw. What is the biggest challenge you'd say facing you guys today as it relates to that?
Honestly, for us now internally, it's date availability. Now that we've developed such a cool following, and now that we've developed all these cool events, there's a lot of people who want to bring stuff to us. And we want to do our best to cater to as many people as we can, with the balance of the fact that we have 69 games in the middle of all of it. And the availability is tough, because we very well know that basically December through February, the weather's not cooperative enough, and sometimes into March. And so we have this finite amount of time between mid-March to basically the end of October to try to cram as many things as we possibly can into the stadium. And so then we have to start prioritizing things, and the one thing we don't want to lose is the community event arm of it all, because that's the everyday people that are our everyday fans, and the people that we want to make sure are well taken care of, with the opportunity to also bring in these bigger national events. And so it's more so now we're running out of available dates, which is a good problem to have, but we also have to start looking at, okay, what are the things that we can do that are going to have the grandest impact on the finite amount of dates that we do have? And so I think the biggest thing is just going to be prioritizing what makes the most sense for our organization, for our fans, and for the market.
And I know you guys, because I've been to a few of them. You guys, and maybe a lot of the city doesn't know this yet, or the general public doesn't know this, but you guys have rooms here that you can rent out to do events in the winter. I mean, I've been to a couple of luncheons upstairs in the, I don't know.
And the vault?
The vault, yeah, up in the vault. And you guys have a great kind of Hall of Fame deal right here upstairs that is really cool. And I've been to a few events inside of that. I think the Chamber of Commerce has done a few things, or maybe Wichita Independent Business Association too. But those are great things.
Absolutely.
Is that utilized a lot? I'm just curious.
Yeah, absolutely. We actually, so we classify that under our private event business. So there's, and that's the part that we struggle with, obviously, is we utilize those spaces a lot. And I think from the 30,000 foot view, if you were to go and look at our event calendar, you would see the bigger events, of course, and the baseball games and everything like that. But then there's a lot of dates that are seemingly unfilled to the general eye. What most people don't know is in reality, out of 365 days, we probably activate this ballpark somewhere between 200 to 250 days. And so if you think about that number of events that we're bringing in, a lot of the smaller events or more localized community events are in the vault or in the Wichita Baseball Museum. We also have people who have flat out just booked birthday parties out here and want us to blow up our kid zone and come throw a party in the museum, and then their kids can run out and go bounce and bounce houses. And Christmas parties have been a huge hit for us. We usually book up a lot of our December month and sometimes early into January with holiday parties. And we have breakfast scramblers with the chamber. We've done WEBA events. We hosted the Bourbon and Barrels event a couple of years ago. We hosted the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce Gala last year in December. So there's a ton of events that are constantly happening here that people don't always necessarily see, that are more on the private side. There's even some private things that we do that are like private walks and it's stuff to honor smaller 501c3s. So I mean we do a ton of stuff that doesn't always get seen by the general public because they're more on that private side.
Do you think that so you've had some background in sports broadcasting and the like? Have you ever worked with somebody as tall as Pat Strothman?
So Pat is 6'7". I am 5'11". And so it's a humbling experience every time I see Pat. But yeah, no, there's the beautiful thing about sports is most of the time folks who work in sports are former athletes. And when I was in Scranton prior, we had a former college basketball player that was 6'10". That was a ticket sales account executive who, when he was sitting down in a chair, was almost still eye to eye with me, which was always fun. But yeah, no, my whole front office is filled with former athletes, and whether it's one sport or another. And so it's always fun to kind of see everybody's unique backgrounds. And it's we had a Division I left tackle who played at Columbia, who was our stadium operations director when I was in Amarillo. And he was about 6'6", 280 pounds in a good way. And so there's usually some good sized individuals working their way through sports.
For sure. Yeah, that's cool. Well, Pat's a great guy. He just recently had a little baby. And so I know he's trying to take care of things at home as well as be a good sportscaster. Let's see. What else? What other? Here's another one. Okay, so you came to Wichita from
Scranton, Pennsylvania.
From Scranton, PA, home of The Office, one of my family's favorite shows. What is your favorite non-sports or non-baseball related thing about Wichita?
This is another thing I said from day one. The thing that drew us in. So my wife and I are originally both from Texas, and anytime you move to a different part of the country, you're going to experience different individuals, different personality types. And, living in Pennsylvania for 2.5 years, we were 90 minutes from New York City, 90 minutes from Philadelphia. There's very much so the city mindset of, if I don't know you, don't talk to me. And I don't mean that negatively. I absolutely love all the folks that I encountered whenever I was in Pennsylvania. Everybody is just, it's that mindset of, I'm on my way to do something. My head is down. That is where I'm going. And I don't want to necessarily take 5 minutes to just stop and chat. Whereas you get further back closer to, Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, just that Midwest mindset of, and the story that I always tell everybody, and the reality check that I got was I flew in January of 2024 to come visit the staff, see the stadium for the first time, and look for a house. And I got on the elevator of my hotel that my wife and I were staying at, and I just asked a gentleman, simply, "Hey, how are you?" Whenever I was in Pennsylvania, it'd be fine, thanks. Whenever I asked this guy, he told me his whole day. He told me everything he'd done. I damn near knew this guy's life story in a 2-floor elevator ride. And that is the type of people that are in Wichita. And that is the type of folks that I grew up with, that I identify with. And so I think the number one overwhelming thing that drew us to Wichita was the people. Everybody is incredibly nice. It's that hold the door for you mentality, the yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. And that's just how I was raised, and the environment and setting that I'm most comfortable in. And so whenever we came down here and I had that experience on the elevator, I told my wife, I was like, I think we're home. And that was ultimately one of the deciding factors of us moving here was that we felt like we were home.
Yeah, I like that too. Because I've been here 15 years, but when I moved here, and I'd worked in Wichita, in a previous company I was in, and we had some property here. But I always felt whenever I came, I had the same experience. You go sit down, it's after a long day, and you're having dinner or whatever, having a cold beverage, and somebody all you have to say is hello to somebody, and then it was off. They would tell you their whole story, their whole day, all kinds of interesting things. But that's a great story. Anything that you and your wife, your family like to do here in particular? I know you spend a lot of time obviously here, but
yeah, the one of the biggest pluses, another thing to add to the feather in the cap of Wichita is the number of things that there are to do with a family. And for us, that's the biggest thing is obviously I do have a very time demanding job. And so when I'm at home with my wife and with my kids, we want to go do stuff and we want to do it together. And there's so many things to be able to take kids to. And honestly, there's a million parks. That's really what we do. We're out at parks where we go to Chicken and Pickle a lot because my wife and I can have dinner and the kids can run around and be crazy. And it's an accepted behavior by small children. But I think the biggest thing is just it's a very family centric city, and there's opportunities to do just about anything any weekend. You can just go online and look up, hey, things to do in Wichita this weekend. And there's a plethora of stuff going on for you to get out and go do. And I think that's the biggest thing is just exercising the opportunities available to get out of the house and go do stuff. I mean, everybody has every reason to stay at home. I mean, look, I'm tired every day, it feels like, but at the same time, my kids are wound up. They want to go out and do stuff. And so it's just about getting them out there to go do it. And also I can't knock the number of golf courses here. That's a plus as well. Love to get out there and throw up a horrible round, but I still enjoy playing. And so having a lot of courses here is always nice too.
Yeah. No, I heard Wichita does have some nice golf courses, plenty of them. I have hacked it up and down most of them myself, but it's still a good way to be out of the house for sure. Let's see what else. Questions about? I mean, I'd just like to get your opinion. I guess not really questions, but when you look at, let's say, 2, 5, and just 2 and 5, 5 years in this world is probably too far forward to look. But between the next 2 and 5 years, what do you kind of see happening in this environment with the team, with the organization, and where you're located here in Wichita?
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously the development is a huge piece of that. I think that there's probably a 2-year window to get all those projects finished up and done. And I think that that's going to change the landscape of just the area in general, as we've been talking about. And I think that's all going to be positive. We usually work about 2 years out. So we've already made pretty substantial plans for 2027 that we're very excited about, that I truthfully believe will change the forecast of this organization for the next decade.
Can we get a little sneak peek?
I cannot.
Come on.
But it's good teasers for you guys to look out for. But no, and some of the stuff we'll announce next year, some of the stuff we'll save for 27, but it truly will be stuff that is impactful for the community. It's stuff that I think will really bring passion and affinity around the organization and what it is that we're trying to do. I can tell you that next year, one of the things that we are going to do is I recently took a trip to Seattle to go see the Mariners facility, and had an opportunity to interact with some of their front office and really get a sense of, for those of you that don't know, Seattle is consistently ranked number 1 in fan experience across Major League Baseball. And there's good reason for it. And I found that out why firsthand. Every single thing that they do is centered around fan experience, whether it's from the experience they have with the entertainment between innings, or obviously the game of baseball, or it's the food and beverage arm of the business, or it's the affordability of things that they do. They do everything they can to cater to an experience for every single person and meeting people exactly where they are, whether that's financially or culturally or whatever it may be. And one of the biggest takeaways that I had that we're going to immediately apply is there should be no reason that any individual and we've already got this mindset, but really taking it to another level, shouldn't be able to afford to come to more than one game a year. They should be able to come to multiple. So things that we're going to do is, the entry level starting price for a ticket for all ages is going to be $7 next year. And that's not anything that
That's awesome.
and so
Yeah.
kids right now are 5 and adults are 9. We're just going to catch it right in the middle and say, hey, look, like, come out, bring a family of 4 at $7 a piece and come to a game. And then the next thing is, okay, well, we can afford the tickets, but we can't afford the food and beverage. So we're going to completely, tamp that down as well. We're going to come up with a value menu of things that people can purchase at a lesser price that, it's not going to be, our big jumbo hot dogs, or our 16 or 22 ounce beers, but we're going to offer a 12 ounce beer that people can buy at an affordable rate. We're going to offer, different sizes of hot dogs that people can afford at a cheaper rate. We're going to do everything we possibly can so that there is no thing out there that says, oh, I can't afford to go to a professional baseball game. Yeah. That's absolutely not true. Everybody should be able to come to baseball. It's America's greatest pastime for a reason. It's been around for 140 years now. Right. At this point, there should be absolutely no reason that people shouldn't be able to come to our games and afford to do it and not leave feeling like that's the one time that they can do something like that in the summer. We want people to come back. We want people in our ballpark. And sure, if somebody wants to come and sit behind home plate and buy the jumbo dog and the giant beer, great, more power to them. But that shouldn't be the reason that we're not inviting everybody else who maybe doesn't have that financial luxury to be able to do that kind of stuff. So it's really, again, just when we say community gathering place, we're not talking about just bringing people in and getting through the gates. We are, but at the same time, we want people to be able to come here and afford to do it and have a good time. And that's my biggest goal. Anytime I go do something with my family, and you're talking about a guy with alligator arms that doesn't want to pick up I will self-admittedly tell you that I'm one of the most financially conservative individuals that there is. I grew up in a household that didn't have a ton of money, so I've learned the value of a penny. And so when me and my wife and our kids go out and do things, we try to find the most cost-effective way to do things. And so I try to offer that from the same lens to everybody else in the community. If they want to go out and they want to come and they want to spend their hard-earned money here, they should walk away feeling like it was worth the experience, not upset the fact that, they couldn't afford to buy more than one drink, or whether they couldn't afford
on the lower side or the higher side.
Exactly.
It's the experience that counts.
100%. And that's what we're really trying to build into is just an unforgettable experience that people can really marry themselves to, that they want to do it year in, year out, day in, day out, and they can actually plan to come out here in advance, and they don't look at a game and go, oh man, that stinks, we can't afford to go there. Instead, it's no, let's go. It'll be a blast, and we can go and sit in the grass and watch a game. Or if we really want to splurge the extra $4 for seats, then we'll do that too. But whatever it may be, we don't ever want people to walk away and say, oh, well, we couldn't afford to go. That's for me, that's an absolute fan killer. That's an organizational killer. And I think that we need to do everything in our power to where people actually feel the value when they're at our stadium.
And then if you're going to do the kind of 12-ounce beer option, can I wear my plastic hat with the cup holders on the sides with the straws that come down?
There's actually a guy here, a fan, who has a 3D printer, and he made custom beer helmets for every brand that we have. He had a Tuma Vodkas, a Turbo Tubs, Wind Surge. He had multicolor Wind Surge. And every game he would bring it. He would buy a couple of beers and he'd throw them in his helmet and have his little straw. And I remember one time one of our ushers asked me, are we going to allow that? And I was like, why wouldn't we?
Like, should be encouraged.
Yeah, right. I was like, if he's having a good time and he's not being out of line as far as his demeanor goes, then there's absolutely no reason. If that's the way he enjoys a game, then he's not bothering the person next to him. So
it's just hands-free libations.
Absolutely. Then he can eat and drink at the same time, and it's not an issue. But yeah, no, I mean, look, the idea is fun. We want people to come here and have fun. If you're not having fun, or if there is a reason that you didn't have fun, or there was a pain point, or there was something of that nature, I always want to hear about it. That doesn't mean I can always do something about it, because at the end of the day, we still do run a business. But at the same time, I'm always going to do whatever I can to make sure that their experience from the parking lot to the gate to their seat the concession stand, to the bathroom, to the gate when they exit, back to the parking lot is enjoyable, point A to point B. Because otherwise, then we're not doing our jobs correctly. If fans can't literally just enjoy themselves from the second that they park to the second they leave, then there's a miss somewhere that we need to correct. And we survey every single person who comes to a game. We send out constant surveys to season ticket holders and group leaders and single game buyers, because we want people to tell us their feedback. And sure, some of it is what it is. There's always going to be a sour apple in the group,
Right.
but a lot of the times the feedback we get is pretty constructive and things that we can do to correct our operation. Because I can't sit there and talk to 300,000 people individually and get their feedback, but that's why these surveys are so important, because we actually do get valuable feedback that says, hey, I really want to buy that sweatshirt, but it's priced too high. And so I literally went back and reviewed all of our merchandise pricing, and about halfway through the season, we dropped it a percentage or a couple percentage points, because we want to be affordable. Like that's at the end of the day, if people aren't coming to games, then we're not an organization anymore. And so we have to continue to be able to drive attendance and grow attendance, quite frankly.
Right. Through a multitude of avenues, which I think you guys have done a very great job at. I know we bring our company out here for a party night and watch a game and get on one of the decks up there, and it's fun. Great environment. Well, Matt, I think that's all the time we have for this episode, but man, so great to get to hear your thoughts and welcome to Wichita, obviously. And we're glad you're here and doing great things. And we appreciate all that you do for our community, and certainly look forward to speaking with you again soon.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate you guys.
Absolutely. Okay. And that does it.